All right, we are live. Double Fries, No Slaw, Wednesday night preview episode. Hopefully, I didn't get any of you guys with a little bit of a tearjerker. I was a little bit upset when I was making that thumbnail, but listen, let's just be upfront with this. I don't know how much UNA preview we'll do tonight, but we're going to talk about Florida State one way or the other, the college football playoffs rankings. We'll talk a little recruiting. We'll talk some availability for this week. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff. We'll get a little bit of a playoff ACC check-in. We'll certainly talk a little bit about Northern Alabama, give some love to our seniors, just all the things. But Double Fries, No Slaw. Richie, you're going up to the game this weekend. How's your week been so far, though?
Oh, it's been hectic, man. It's our annual accreditation survey that's a week long. So my days have been like 6 to 6 all week. That'll be the case tomorrow as well. But as soon as I get home, the car will be loaded, ready to go, and we're heading up to Tallahassee. Excited for a weekend up there. And, it's tough to get me to Tallahassee, TJ. You point this out more than anybody. And shout out Coach Bond of the women's golf team. She even called me out on Twitter about it yesterday. But, these seniors, these are the ones that turned this program around, the ones that actually stuck around, that were here for the darkest days in Florida State football, probably in the past 40, 50 years, certainly before Bobby Bowden. And I feel like it's right to go out and, honor them and their legacy. And it gets me out of a week with my mom or my mother-in-law coming here to stay in Orlando. So we're taking her to the game and she'll love it. She'll enjoy it. Then we get a week to come home and relax for Thanksgiving.
Heck yeah, I like it. So have fun this weekend. My plans are still a little bit up in the air, but trying to figure some stuff out. So Double Fries, No Slaw, brought to you by Guthrie's in Tallahassee. 3 locations now: 1818 West Tennessee, 2550 North Monroe, and then there's a new one that I don't have the address right in front of me. Sorry, you're just gonna have to go figure it out. It's over on Appalachia, kind of on the east side of town. It's a drive-through only, so go enjoy you some Guthrie's if you're in Tallahassee or you're going up this weekend. So, Richie, let's get right to it. Let's talk a little about this UF tailgate coming up next week. If you're going to be in Gainesville, come hang out with us. I believe the link is knowlesgators2023.eventbrite.com. If you go to Eventbrite and type in Double Fries No Slaw, or just go to the description of any of our YouTube videos, you will find it there. It's actually not there right now, but I'll put it in real quick. Actually, no, that's not true. I put it in. I'm running this thing. Harlan's out of town, so I'm running this thing not only, obviously, hosting with Richie, but I'm running it right now too. So if I'm late to Super Chats, just keep sending them in, and we'll get to them. Just up the dollar amount, and I'll make sure that I catch it. So if there are any technical difficulties, blame Harlan because he's not here tonight. But Richie, college football playoff, and then we'll do something for Charlotte too, trying to finalize those details. Florida State holding strong at number 4. All right, let's be petty before we really talk serious football. But it was cool to hear the college football playoff committee basically crap all over Miami and say that their last touchdown was as meaningless as we all knew it was on Saturday night. So that's our first takeaway here tonight with the college football playoff committee.
Yeah, it was funny. You saw, the host, I think it was Reese, trying to, bait the chair and saying, hey, the Florida State hasn't, with their ACC schedule, how do you compare that against what Washington has to play and what they still have to play? And he's like, look, don't undersell this rivalry because it's, and we talked about this in the preview. Rivalry games like this, they can be close for no reason. And he basically said, Miami had one big play that resulted in a touchdown, but we thought Florida State was the dominant team. And when you consider the fact that Miami did not cross the 50 more than, I think, once in the second half, yeah, I think that's fair to say. And I think most Florida State fans, there's some of y'all out there, and nothing wrong with it at all. You're just going to be nervous from start to finish of every single game, no matter what. But there was no point in that Miami game that I felt like Florida State was going to lose. Even when Miami had the ball driving late, I knew Tyler Van Dyke, they needed a touchdown. If they needed a field goal, that's a different story because I'm like, okay, that we could be going to overtime, or if they could beat us with a field goal, that's one thing. There was no way any quarterback on that team was going to lead them down on a touchdown drive. It just wasn't going to happen. And I was never truly nervous at any point in the game, even when Miami had small leads. And, I hate to reference it because I think it's super flawed, but ESPN, if you look at the game cast, Florida State never dropped below like 60% chance to win the game, even when they were trailing in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that ESPN metric, by the way. I'll crap on ESPN all we can, but yeah, I mean, what that is like, it's like the history of like all games that have ever happened in that scenario, like what the chances the team has of really coming back and winning. And I felt the same way. I never felt like it was really in doubt. I think that, if they had scored, I'd have been worried about them going for two. And, if they had driven the entire field, can they have one more play to, get over to, get 3 yards? That would have worried me in that play, but it didn't come down to that. Jarian Jones made a heck of a play. His development and his growth over the last few years has been remarkable.
Battle's End Player of the Week, shout out.
Yeah, he, seals the deal, and the Noles are 10-0. So, yeah, and a lot of people, I don't know. We could have a full-on Washington versus Florida State debate. Washington picking up a huge win against Oregon, and I understand that. They've got a big game this weekend up against Oregon State, where they're actually a slight dog. They get credit for that win against Oregon, but, people dog a Florida State for their Week 3 performance against Boston College and forget that, just 3 weeks ago, Washington couldn't score an offensive touchdown against Arizona State. They won 15-7 against, shout out Coach Kenny, but a team that's got 3 wins on the year, and then barely beat Stanford the next week, and then did beat USC, who I think is kind of a shell of what we thought that they would be. But yeah, I just don't know that I'm all that impressed with Washington right now. I think they've got some things that they've done well. We'll see if they can get through these next couple of weeks. But like we said, all of this is going to work itself out. There will not be a scenario where a 13-0 Florida State team gets left out of the college football playoff. If they lose, I'm very much on the bandwagon now. If they were to lose any of their remaining 3 games, it would be very tough to get back into it. You just need a lot of chaos. You need a lot of stuff going your way. If you were to, the only realistic 2 games to lose would be Louisville and Florida, right? And so if you were to lose to Florida, you really need Louisville to continue to win, and hopefully that's like a top 7 game, and you beat them by 40 and kind of reestablish yourself, and hope that a lot kind of wrong went for other people, right? Like Auburn beats Bama, and then Bama beats Georgia. Just a lot of stuff happening. Do you think that if Washington upsets Oregon State and gets a top 10 win, do you think they do jump us next week?
I do. And, let's prepare the Florida State fans for that, because there will be a lot of coming out. There will be, but our fans have melted down 2 weeks in a row just thinking we might get jumped. And I do think we probably would get jumped, because at that point, objectively, they do have a better resume than you, and it is the same record. And I'm okay with that, because again, TJ, to your point, if Florida State wins the rest of their games, these next 3 games, North Alabama, Florida, Louisville, Florida State will not be left out of the college football playoff. The only thing that would freak me out as a Florida State fan is if somehow a 1-loss team jumps in front of us, and that's just not going to happen. In Louisville, they're basically a pick 'em against Miami. It keeps going back and forth. I saw Louisville favored by 1.5, Miami favored by 1.5, Louisville favored by 0.5. It's going to be a pick 'em. So you'd like Louisville to win just because it gives you that final resume boost heading into the selection show. But there's no way they're going to put a 1-loss team over Florida State. I see a lot of people saying, well, what about Bama if they knock off Georgia? Okay, they'd have to put Texas in over us too. And they're just not going to do that. Florida State is just fine. Even if we end up number 5 next Tuesday night, if Washington wins, I think that will be the case. But I'm not going to freak out, because I know if we beat Florida and Louisville, we will be in the college football playoff.
Yeah. It's not worth me freaking out over. I already know that. It's also Thanksgiving week too. So I don't know. I feel like if you can't just relax and kind of chill on Thanksgiving week, then that's on you. But yeah, I know your rivals, the rivals that are, going to finish under 500, and then the other ones that just, celebrated moral victories by beating, losing to you by 7. They're going to get some jokes off. And then, the next week, Florida State's going to be in the playoff. So it'll all work itself out for sure. UGA jumps Ohio State. Michigan still at 3. OSU, Michigan, the Big House next weekend. Harbaugh won't be on the sidelines. That didn't seem to impact them too much against Penn State. I mean, early prediction there. I've got Michigan winning that game.
Yeah, and it's in the Big House. I don't think it'll be particularly close. I mean, final score might be, but if you actually watch the game, I think Michigan's just going to dominate. I think they did the most disrespectful thing to Penn State you can think of on a college football field by just running the ball 31 straight times in the second half, saying, you guys have zero chance to stop us. That has got to be super emasculating for Penn State and their fans, and to be sitting in that stadium watching Michigan say, we actually have a pretty decent quarterback. McCarthy's not bad, but we're just going to run the ball down your throat, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop it. I feel like that game was won in Harbaugh's spirit. I think it's a joke he's been suspended, quite frankly. There's no way you could have completed your due process that quickly. I think it's the Big Ten saying, we want him coaching in the Big Ten title game and then in the college football playoff because we think Michigan's our best shot to get us a national championship, which I agree, because I don't think Ohio State's going to win a national championship this year. I probably have them 5th or 6th best odds in the Barnes Sportsbook.
So, little playoff check-in, and then we'll talk a little bit about North Alabama. Louisville, you mentioned this one. Louisville, I've seen some books where Miami's a half-point favorite. At least they were this morning on the newest sports book that became legal.
Yeah, that's what I have there
in Florida. This morning I had Miami. Oh yeah. Good call. I can't read. Miami a half-point favorite. Like, do you think they would? Vegas hit. Remember when they did this? Like they've kind of told you like when Miami was going to show up and play and stuff. But I still love Louisville here. What do you got?
I mean, it's a tough game. I mean, there's going to be nobody there unless this buy one, get 2 free tickets thing really takes off.
Heck of a deal.
My goodness, that's embarrassing. I think Miami's a good. Here's the thing about the ACC. Everyone's talking about them like we're a super down conference this year. No, it's a lot of like solid college football teams that have just beat up on each other. It's not like they have 3 elite teams and then a bunch of average to below average and then mediocre teams. Like anyone in the ACC could beat anyone in the ACC. Obviously not Florida State 8-0 in the ACC this year, but seriously speaking, I mean, there's a lot of teams that are very close to each other. Miami, I don't know. I was surprised. I thought they were going to quit against Florida State last weekend, and they didn't. We'll see what happens. Van Dyke is going out there. If he throws an interception early, the first 2-3 possessions, I think the crowd turns on him. He was talking today about how he's having to talk to his grandfather about how to just handle the negativity. The Miami fan base is fed up with Tyler Van Dyke. And if he makes the
they have any room to talk.
Yeah,
they're not the worst fan base in the ACC.
But if he makes the slightest mistake, it's going to get in his head. And what are you going to go, Ja'Carri Brown? The guy, yeah, he's basically.
They might have to. Yeah,
you're running Wildcat at that point, and Louisville's got a pretty good defense. I think I give Louisville the slight edge. I wouldn't bet this game though. There's no way I would bet it because I have no idea how it's going to go. I do think Louisville wins, but I'm not confident.
Yeah, I think I like Louisville in this. You get 3 points for home and away, and as much as we troll I get it. But that's not. I'm not really trolling here. I just don't think that it's a home field advantage. I think defense travels. I think what Louisville's advantage is defense. Now Miami's got a good defense too, but I think it'll be a lot like that NC State game where defense. Van Dyke makes a couple of mistakes, and then Louisville breaks through because Miami's defense just finally breaks down. Now, could it go the other way? Could Miami win this game? Absolutely. There's a reason, to steal a line from De La Torre over there at the Gators on 3 site. He says all the time, there's a reason they keep building palaces out in the desert. And, Vegas is telling you with this line that anyone could win. But I don't know that I have the confidence in Miami's offense being able to put up enough points. This is not, we've kind of moved on from the Miami game as we show a couple of highlights here, but I think Florida State's defense, which I do think is better than Louisville's, but Louisville's is good. I think Miami really earned about 7 to 10 points the other night. I think we gave them 3 with the short field. with Jordan running backwards for 30 yards. I think we gave him 3 with the onside kick. I think we gave him 3 with like the most boneheaded play that Knowles could have made, And so, I'm sorry, 7. And so those plays still happened, and that stuff happens in a rivalry game. But I really think that our defense should really only be on the hook for about 7 to 10 of those points. Now, the defense is still on the hook for the last touchdown, but it's fluky, like we talked about. It's not Miami didn't make a great play. They had 2 defenders run into each other and end up scoring. So I think Louisville's defense will be better. Or, I'm sorry, not as good as that, but I do think that'll be a big part of that game. So, all right, now that we've done 5 minutes of Louisville, Miami, let's go a lot quicker on this one. UGA, Tennessee. I've got UGA. I will take UGA minus 10 here. I think they pummel USC. I don't know. Again, Vegas kind of telling you something there with that line being closer than I think we all think it should be. But I think UGA absolutely pummels the dog crap out of Tennessee. And so if that line's a trap from Vegas, I'm falling into it head first.
Yeah, UGA is a much better version of Mizzou, both physical teams. We saw what Mizzou did to Tennessee. I don't know if there's some Tennessee magic like last year. Maybe they go pick up the, get the goalposts out of the Tennessee River there and put those back up after they beat Alabama from last year. No, I think Georgia's going to win fairly comfortably. I just don't think Tennessee's physical enough to match Georgia.
Here's the big one we're talking about. Do you think Oregon State as a 2.5, 3-point favorite can win at home against Washington?
I just have a feeling it's going to feel like Oregon State's going to win this whole game. And
Washington pulls it out in the end.
Washington just finds a way to, pull it out at the last minute. It'll be interesting. I think we're down to 3 people for the Heisman at this point. Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr. and Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels should win it because I don't believe it's the best player on the best team. But if Penix has a big game here and they win, I think the Pac-12 championship could be also the Heisman championship as well.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong there at all. Man, I'm hoping that Oregon State can win, mostly just so I don't have to see the meltdown from our fans. If we don't make if they pass over us in the playoff selection, so we'll see. Again, I feel pretty good about where we're at. Either way, I'm not super concerned about that, but again, I'd like to avoid the fan meltdown if we can. If we can't, and we have to go through that, then Richie, we'll put on our big boy pants and we'll go through it.
We'll put on our therapist cap and get through it on Wednesday night next week.
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll figure it out. So, okay, and then the last one, Texas, Iowa State. I think Texas wins. It wouldn't shock me. They've been playing poorly in a lot of games. Kind of the same thing, I think, what you mentioned with Washington. I think they'll play them close. It'll look like Iowa State has a chance, and then Texas will pull it out in the last minute.
I feel like I have to have a weekly Big 12 upset call, so I'm going to go with it here. That's a weird line. I thought Texas would be favored by at least like 10.5, 7.5. I don't know. Like I'm not going to bet money on it, but I'm just going to go on the record saying I think Iowa State finds a way to get it done.
I like it. All right, North Alabama at number 4, Florida State. No line, 6:30 p.m. We get our 1 CW showing. Florida State's paying for this game. Richie notates it is a paycheck game. Yeah, not really going to break this down, but looking big picture, senior day at Doak. And I thought Sonone did a really good job of guys who have exhausted their eligibility and then, guys who might go pro, and so you might not see them anymore. I thought that was really good. But there are definitely some names that we can talk about right now and just kind of their impact at Florida State. But he's on the thumbnail. I mean, it all starts and it all ends with Jordan Travis, who will play his last game in Doak Campbell Stadium. We can spend more time talking about him than really anybody, but from a guy who, was asked to play wide receiver or wanted to quit football and everything else to, still a top 5 Heisman candidate, and a guy who has really been the heart and soul of your team for the last 2 or 3 years. We could have done the entire show around Jordan Travis, but just, thoughts there, even though that's probably the hardest thing that I've ever asked you to do.
Yeah, right. No, man, this is a kid that, I kind of joked. I was up there at the Notre Dame game in 2021, and there were some boos And it wasn't for Jordan Travis. I think it was because the fans wanted to see Mackenzie Milton, but he took it personal. In the Jacksonville State game, again, he felt he was personally booed. And, now I'll be there Saturday. I think it's going to be a lot different reception when his name is called, and he has 60 plus family members, which I've been told will be there with him. Hopefully, Devo, our good friend here, gets to walk out on the field with him and his parents, and he gets his flowers because what he's did at Florida State. To your point, TJ, he's the one who went to Coach Norvell and said, "Listen, I'll play wide receiver if I have to because I'm just not going to be a good quarterback in college." And Mike Norvell, and you shouted him out earlier, Kenny Dillingham said, "No, you're a quarterback." And talk about development, man. What this staff has done to develop him. And let's throw in Tony Tokars as well, because that's when really Jordan took his biggest step was from 2 years ago to last year. Man, he is the epitome of what you love about college football. Someone who you think would never, contribute, because we had not just one or two outlets, like every outlet on this beat reporting from his first few practices saying that when he throws the ball, it looks different and not in a good way. Like it's bad. And what he is now is one of the top quarterbacks in all of college football. I think he deserves an invite to New York. I'm on the fence if he actually gets one or not. I think the three guys I mentioned earlier definitely get one. Maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. But if Jordan Travis beats Florida in Louisville and has some highlight plays and some Heisman moments, he could end up in New York. I don't think he's going to win it, but a trip to the Downtown Athletic Club would be awesome for him. And I'm just excited to see him one last time in Doak because, man, he might be he's definitely my top 5 favorite quarterbacks of Florida State history. I'm just not sure where I would put him right now because, it's not finished. Let's finish the story. Heck, not just win these next 3 games, win the next 5 games, the conversation changes drastically at that point.
Yeah. What he's done and the growth, and I've said this before, but I've never seen a player develop and grow this much, right? Like you've seen guys get better through the years, but never to the level of not trusted to throw a football to probably going to still, I don't know if he gets the invite or not. I agree with you, but I think he finishes top 5 in voting. Yeah. I think if we're 13-0, he finishes top 5. And so at that point, it becomes how many do they invite? So yeah, I think that, it's pretty impressive. It's probably the most impressive. Jameis was impressive and he'll always be my favorite player, but it was impressive in a different way. Like Jameis was heralded as the GOAT before he ever took a snap, people knew that he was going to be elite and, 5-star recruit and one of the best quarterbacks in the class. And just, you understood that. And so for Jordan to kind of have the transformation that he has had, obviously been really, really special. Hey, some guys that transferred in and really just made the absolute most of their time. Again, I'm getting this from the Knowles 247 article on projection for season outlook. So shout out to again Brendan Sonnone for the legwork here. Casey Roddick, Bless Harris, Dimitri Emmanuel, Fabian Lovett, Braden Fisk, Tatum Bethune, Jarian Jones, guys that transferred in and really did kind of crush it as transfers. A couple other that really stuck it out and stayed with this program. Kalen DeLoach, Akeem Dent, Dennis Britt. Like there's a lot of guys
Bernardo
there.
Green.
Yeah, Bernardo Green, all the way up through. Those guys have to go through. I mean, shoot, Akeem went through 3 coaches and Kalen, I feel like Akeem Dent's been here forever. So Kalen's been here forever and is one of the best players. That kid at NC State's probably going to win it, but Kalen should get talked about for Defensive Player of the Year in the ACC. And so those guys that really stuck it out. James Rosenberry, not a lot of love gets shown to the long snapper, but
one of the greatest long snappers of all time. Let's not sell them in short.
He's crushing it. Other guys, some transfers that will probably go pro: Trey Benson, Jaheim Bell, Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, Jared Verse, obviously. Some other guys that could go pro: Jeremiah Byers, Darrell Jackson, Joshua Farmer, Fentrell Cypress. So just, a whole list, a whole host of people. I don't necessarily know that anybody from that last group does. I think it's just possible that they do. And so, anybody that I've mentioned there or said their names, like it very likely could be their last time playing in Doak. Those last four, we'll see. Byers, Jackson, Farmer, Cypress. But everybody before that almost assuredly will not be back to play another down in Doak. And so a mixture of portal guys, a mixture of guys that stuck it out through 2-3 coaching staffs, and, everybody on that list leaving the program in a better place than they found it. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. You go through some senior days, you go through some final games and things like that where you are like, man, I can't wait till these guys are out of here. This will be a group that, again, every single person that we've mentioned left the program better than they found it, including the guys that just came in this year. Roddick has been phenomenal in pass pro. I know there's been some struggles and concerns with run blocking, but, guys like Emmanuel and guys like Bless Harris and stuff have just been really, really special. So anyway, all right, I'll shut up. And if you have any thoughts on any of those guys, could spend all day talking about Trey Benson and Johnny Wilson, and obviously Keon's, just an alien, but I'll let you talk about some of these guys and then we'll move on.
Yeah, no, and definitely hope people appreciate, Trey and Johnny and Keon and those guys. But to your point, Jordan and Kalen and Renardo are the three that really stick out to me. And I don't want them to play a lot Saturday, but I would love it if, maybe the second drive, Florida State's driving the ball, they get to midfield and, Norvell says, all right, let's sub and tape for Jordan and let Jordan get that one last, he's going to get the standing ovation before the game, but everyone in that stadium will know that this is the last snap he just took at Florida State. And he will get the ovation. And then, Mike, just call a timeout. Why not? Let that.
Hey, dog, you gotta relax, man.
On that.
I'm gonna this is brutal, man. People are crying on here.
Let that crowd just let Jordan soak this up, because if anybody deserves it, it's him. And I'm so excited to be there and see this game, because obviously no one's going there for the North Alabama game. I don't know if you saw this, TJ. Only singles tickets are available through Seminoles.com right now. You cannot buy 2 tickets together anywhere in the stadium. And there's only 4 sections in the entire stadium that have singles tickets available. Every other section is sold out. I think there's a good chance this game is a sellout by Saturday night. And that's what these kids deserve. If you're within 2 hours, or if you can make the trip, I know hotels are expensive, but if you're within driving distance and you're not doing anything, try to get to this game, guys. There's not many tickets left. Buy them up and give them to a friend. I don't care. Let them say they sold out every single home game their senior season. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I believe, not to discourage anybody from going, but I believe it already will be a sellout just because they'll be within a certain percentage. But I saw there were like less than 300 tickets available, which is nuts, and that's really, really freaking awesome. And hopefully they, hopefully somebody will just buy up those last 300 and give it to I don't know, the Boys and Girls Club or something like that.
When's the last time you were at a game where Florida State went 11-0? Not many of these listeners. I can promise you that.
Yeah, I was going to say, unless you went to Idaho or unless you were at, who did we play before we beat Florida in
exactly
2014?
Exactly.
Yeah, and then before that, it would have been 2001.
99.
Or 2001. Oh, yeah.
2001, yeah.
2001, yeah, because I think
2001 we had a loss, yeah.
2000, sorry.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot that you could say, and like I said, those guys like Kalen and the ones that really stuck it out, will always be special. And Trey Benson has been, man, like one of the most fun kids to root for. He's hilarious. Just getting the chance to interact with him a few times and doing a couple of different shows and seeing him in person, and these guys really have been special. And so, it'll suck to lose them, but wish all these guys the very best. And then I agree with you. I think you try and get up 21, 28 points, really go out there and give your best effort. And, I'd love if it was in the second quarter. That way the whole crowd is still there. You have Jordan come out for the drive, maybe have him take a kneel down and throw down the U, and then call a timeout and pull him out. So, all right, that's a little bit about North Alabama. That's how much we're going to talk about breaking them down. North Alabama is also not good. Like, I'm not trying to talk a bunch of crap, but I believe they're 3-8 on the year. They're not only at a lower level, getting a paycheck to play this game. They're also just not a good team at that level.
Let's play a quick game, TJ.
Yeah, Florida State should blow them out. So, what game are we playing?
I'm putting you on the spot here. It's called Guess the Mascot. Of the 3 teams they've beaten, Chattanooga, what is their mascot?
Chattanooga's the Mocs.
Yes, that is
Dude,
correct.
I know this, bro. Like, no, I'm going to go 3-0.
Tennessee Tech.
Oh. All right, can you give me a hint? I don't know. I'll say I don't know it, but
it's a colorful bird.
A peacock?
Golden Eagles.
Oh, okay. Well,
but in their signature win on the year,
I was going real colorful there.
Their signature win on the year, Utah Tech.
Oh boy, I don't know. Give me another hint.
Portland NBA.
The Trailblazers. The Blazers.
Trailblazers.
Yeah, that's how bad. Yeah, that's how bad that is. So
that's your North Alabama preview.
Something I didn't really think about, Richie, until I saw the cinematic recap. My guy Andrew always doing way too much, but let me give you some love here. That one's not even ours, but we'll do this one.
You a recruit and you ain't going to Florida State. What you doing?
And then do it big.
Put a smile on your face. Okay? Because Florida State, if we gonna do it then, we do it big then. Let's go, baby.
Ready for the 2 touchdowns that Preston Daniels
gets
on Saturday. Listen, I've watched 2 games this year, Richie, with Andrew. You want to know what they were?
What were they?
LSU and Miami.
Okay.
Two huge wins. So we got to find Andy, you better be in Charlotte, bro. That's all I got to say. You better find your way we just put us over the top, and then I'll see you in either Pasadena or New Orleans and then Houston. So we're undefeated. We got to keep that streak going. So Andrew, I appreciate your love. I'm all thrown off now. But I didn't realize this until the cinematic recap. Like, I just didn't really think about it. You're playing Miami, and that's really all you're thinking about is like, we just beat Miami. Like, there's 2 games you want all year, right? Like, I know everybody always says it, but if you went 2-10, but got these 2 wins, you'd feel at least a little good. I didn't think about it was a back-to-back 10-win seasons until Mike said it in the cinematic recap. Like, I didn't think about it once. Did you think about it?
Not during the game, but I definitely
I didn't think about it one time until I watched the cinematic recap on. I mean, we didn't mention it on Sunday. We didn't mention our recap.
No. Yeah.
So I didn't think about it until I heard Mike say it. And that's impressive. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen the stats since then. That's more than Miami had. 2 10-win seasons is more than Miami has in the last 20 years. Obviously pretty phenomenal what Mike Norvell has done turning this thing around. Back-to-back 10-win seasons. So quick shout out to that for sure.
Absolutely. And sorry, Andre, he's going to be in the NFL next year. But yeah, the last thing, every preseason goal still's there, TJ. We mentioned it earlier. Just keep winning. That's nobody can stop you. You can only stop yourself. If you're Florida State right now, you're going to be double-digit favorites. These next, we're going to beat North Alabama. We're 11-0. Those next 2 games, you're double-digit favorites. And now you're playing for seeding at that point, because what if some really funky things happen? You're not going to get up to number 1, but if you get to that 2-3 spot and you get to avoid Georgia, I mean, anything can happen at that point. I might be looking at, discount tickets to Houston.
Oh, if we go to Houston, we're never mind. Let me not make jokes. Yeah, I'm going to try and go. That's the joke. So, or not the joke, but just what I need to say. But all right, let's roll on this a little bit, Richie. Our prize picks segment. Let me get the thing up here and we will roll. Prize picks. Use our code DFNS when you sign up on the app. You can also use the link in the description. Listen, the service was terrible in Tallahassee, so I didn't put any prize picks in this weekend. I had some that I wanted to play too. I probably would have missed a bunch, so I'm glad I didn't. But this weekend, I will be living on the Prize Picks app. Make sure that you use our code DFNS when you sign up for Prize Picks. Richie, what we got this week? It's just me and you. Harlan's gone, but what do we got?
Yeah, and again, it's UNA guys. We'll kind of go through quick on this one. It'll be a shorter episode because you're going to want to hear next week's show a lot more when we're 11-0 previewing the potential undefeated season if we knock off the Florida Gators once again. This is just a lot of guesswork, man. Let's just start.
This is
Jordan. Is he going to play more more or less than 2.5 series?
More than 2.5.
I'm gonna go less.
Okay. I like it.
Less here. Kean Coleman, 5.5 snaps played. I think health is a part of the reason for this, but that could be 3 series. That could be 1. But I think 5.5 is a fair number.
Yeah. I'll go more here, but I'm not going to tell you why more, but I went first last time. So you go ahead and give your answer and then but you can't change. You can't change.
I'm going to stick with less. I think he'll get out there early. Now, if they have a long first drive, I'm cooked. I think Keon's getting 1 series.
I'm going to go more because I think he catches all the punts. And I think they just let him stay back there and catch punts and tell him not to return.
You think they just let him fair catch it?
Yeah, just make sure we don't drop it.
No, I think we need to find somebody else who can field a punt, which is why I feel fairly confident in the less, but we'll see what happens. Florida State quarterback passing yards, not including Jordan Travis, 249.5.
I'll go more.
Yeah, I think I'll go more there too.
Not including Jordan Travis or like his included?
No, his yards do not count.
I'll still go more here, but that does make it tougher.
I think Mike wants to see what he has. Attendance, 79,559.
Paid attendance, yeah, I'll go more. I'll say that it ends up being more.
So max capacity is 79,600 or 560. I believe it was what I looked it up. I'm basically saying
I'll go more. I'll go more on that.
We haven't been keeping track, so who cares? I do think they get a sellout, which is crazy for North Alabama with Florida on deck. 55.5 points for Florida State. I think I'll go more because, man, and I don't want to downplay him too much, but I know Tarleton State's good. They put up 52, so I think Florida State can put up 56.
Yeah, I'll go more here. I think they score on just about every drive of the game.
So this is the trickiest one for me, just because I know we're going to play a ton of backups. So it's not necessarily the talent, but the communication on defense. North Alabama, 9.5 points. I think it's less for the first 58 minutes and with the potential to go there. I'll still say less. So actually, put me on record. Chip Baker, let's shout him out. Spiked baseball incoming.
Yeah, I'll go less. I don't know that I predict the shutout or not, but I will say less on that one. So, but here's the good news: nobody's here to grade us. We're good. I actually went undefeated this week, so that's
someone's gonna go back and listen to all these shows and grade them up, and
ain't gonna be one of us three.
Like Harlan kicked our ass. That'd be the worst. Last thing, ACC championship. We really won't know much this week. If Louisville loses, things get really interesting next week.
Well, we will know. We will know if Louisville wins. We'll know.
If Louisville wins, they're in. North Carolina has to beat NC State and Clemson. I don't see that happening, but the ACC this year is crazy. Crazier things have happened. I have no idea. But yeah, I think by our Sunday, we're going to have to do some scheduling announcements here for Sunday because I'm driving back from Tallahassee and then I have a work event that I got to leave the house by like 4:34. So we'll have to figure that out. But by our Sunday show, it may be a TJ solo, hopefully not. We should know or have a much better idea of what the ACC championship opponent is going to look like for Florida State.
Yeah, I think what would be true peak ACC would be Louisville loses to Miami. North Carolina beats Clemson, so they got it all right there in front of them, and all they got to do is beat NC State.
Knocks off,
and then NC State beats them, and Mac Brown doesn't make it. So I'd still prefer to play Louisville. I don't.
Yes. You don't want to play Drake May.
Yeah, I don't want to play. Now, I think we'd win. I'm not necessarily worried about that, but I'm not necessarily super keen on playing an offense that, if they're on, can kind of go toe to toe with you. So, yeah, I think I am going to. I want Louisville to beat Miami because I want Miami to lose every game. But yeah, that's what we're looking like. So, all right. Let me say this, Richie, and then we'll do some shout-outs and get out of here. I know there is a lot of recruiting stuff like flying around absolutely everywhere right now. There is stuff about Jeremiah Smith. There's stuff about LJ McCray. There's stuff about Zay Mincy. There's stuff on Kai Bates. There's stuff right now with every talented, high-profile prospect that was in town. There's good news that we've gotten on folks like Charles Lester and other folks that are committed to the Noles. Armando Blunt, that, some of the guys that you were, quote-unquote, worried about in this class. This has been a crazy week, but my plan is to, this week has been so crazy that I did an interview, Richie, the other day with Garnet the Goldfish, and it still hasn't made its way to the airwaves. So my plan is to get a recruiting video out Thursday or Friday. Most likely Thursday, most likely tomorrow. So make sure you're locked in with the channel and you don't miss that. The biggest issue that I've had with recruiting, and I know that I'm literally getting pings in the Discord right now, people asking. So again, sign up for the Discord or the Patreon so that you can stay a little bit more up to date with stuff, is that stuff has changed so much this week. I go to record and I learned 3 new things, and then it's let's move these 3. So it's really been a crazy time. So this really wasn't going to start out as a plug for the Discord, but go check that out if you haven't. But my goal is to have a recruiting video out tomorrow. So a lot of stuff going on. I think there's a lot of good news for the Noles. Just have to be a little bit patient with us, and we will get that to you. Yeah, Hunter. All right, you're the man, dude. This is hilarious.
Touchdown, Florida State! Touchdown, FSU!
Yeah, shout out to Holton Harris, Harlan's little brother, for getting the TV up and working this weekend. Harlan is like a super IT wizard who is incredible with that stuff and could not figure out the TV. So shout out Holton for getting that done. You are the man, dude. Richie, do you have any shout outs? I think we need to get rolling. Florida's losing to everybody right now, though. I just want to say that. Shout out to the Gators for the kids that are decommitting. That's my shout out.
Yeah, shout out my mom. Yesterday was her birthday, so called her, had a nice chat. She put a bid on a new home and should find out tomorrow. The only other shout out I have is to us, because we, as of this second, did not forget to do score predictions, which we almost did. 63-0. Why not?
Yeah, I'll go. Man, no love for Fitz, huh? I'll go 66-6. Whoa, I don't like that one. 66-7.
All right.
66-9. I'll just get in that 9.5 just by half. 66-9. So, all right. Hey, there's a couple hundred of you watching right now. Most of you already are. I know about 40% of you are not. Hit that subscribe button real quick. Help support the show a little bit. It is free. You have to be subscribed to comment. So the haters that comment, we appreciate you for being subscribed. We will be back with some recruiting news tomorrow morning. Make sure that you are locked into the channel so you don't miss that. We'll be back on Sunday. Probably going to be a 4 o'clock show instead of 6. Richie and I are trying to nail that down, but we'll put the link out so you guys can tune in and be there live. Hey, if you're going to the game this weekend, enjoy it. Cheer loud. Jordan Travis's last game in Doak. Jared Verse, Trey Benson, all those guys. Special group, and not done yet, as Mike said, but last time in Tallahassee. So TJ Pinger, Richie Barnes, Harlan, who skipped tonight. We will talk to you guys soon. Going home.